Okay, Chairman, you can begin.
Well, that's a different picture that is here now. It's gone very small. Ah, right, okay. Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Very pleased to welcome you all and any members of the public to the East Northamptonshire Council Policy and Resources Committee meeting held on Monday, March the 15th, 2021. The next comment is interesting. It is the Ides of March, as you probably know, but hopefully this will not be of too much significance, although Teams has obviously decided that's not going to be the case. This will be the last meeting of this committee, and so the evening is tinged with a modicum of sadness. Before I start the main business of the committee, I would unfortunately like to continue with the sadness that this committee has also recently felt, which is the tragic loss of Councillor Roger Glitherow. Roger served on this committee for my full term whilst I've been in the chair, and of course started on day one with ENC. We offer our sincere condolences to Roger's family. I'd like us all to observe a few moments of silence in memory of Roger, but also to remember other members who are no longer with us, including Glenn Harwood and Phil Hardcastle. A few moments silence, please, remembering our lost colleagues. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I'll now move on to this evening's agenda. Hopefully I might see a hand if you want to speak, or if not, then please just interrupt gently and I'll get to you in that way. So move on to item 1 on the agenda. Any apologies for absence, please?
There's been no apologies, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Move on to item 2 now, the minutes of the committee meeting held on the 19th of January 2021. Is everyone happy that I sign these as a true record of the meeting on that date? Yes, Councillor Perry. Second. All those in favour? If anyone's against, please speak. Yep, thank you very much. That's carried. Move on now to item 3. Any declarations of interest, please?
Just Chairman, I'm not sure whether I do need to declare I'm chairman of the Greenway, and there's an item on later on the agenda, but just as a point for information.
All right, okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Peacock. Move on to item 4. Any questions by members under Council Procedure Rule 10.3?
No questions received, Chairman.
How disappointing for the last meeting. Move on now to item 5, minutes of subcommittees and working parties. And we only have one, which is item 5A, Finance and Performance Sub, held on the 22nd of February 2021. And I call upon Councillor North, please, just to present those minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I think as through previous times, I certainly would appreciate that everybody would have gone through the reports and read them. So I don't intend to go through them in great detail, and I'm sure that I need to spare time for Councillor Mercer for the next item, which you know, history would say that he would spend some time on the next item. But in relation to this item, Chair, there isn't a great deal to draw attention to. There's no resolve to recommend, so it is all a matter of course. You'll see the quarterly reports and the budget monitoring, which is as standard. You will obviously note the expenditure in relation to all the COVID in relation to that, but also in relation to 8, we've obviously had a COVID-19 business grants updates, which appreciates the reimbursement to the council from the government in relation to all the funding that's gone out, and in relation to obviously all the support we're doing to via the government for business support. I think the thing I would draw attention to, which was raised as the meeting chair, as you would know, is I would say 6.6, just for note, as this is the last meeting of the council, but we did ask in relation to the outturn reporting and in relation to going forward, and as you'll see there, that would be reported to the Audit and Governance committee of North Northamptonshire Council going forward. So the year end and obviously all the financial reporting in relation to that from the sovereign councils will go to that committee. And to be honest, Chairman, I haven't really got anything else to add unless anybody wants to raise any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone got any questions on those minutes? Okay, thank you very much then. Thank you very much, Councillor North. We'll move on now to item 6, revision of RIPA policy and procedures. Is Charlotte here?
No, Charlotte's not in the meeting at the moment, so I'm trying to contact her to see if she's one of these people who's having problems with Teams. So you may want to move on to the Greenway item first while we try and sort this out.
What a wonderful suggestion. So on that basis, we'll now move to item 7, which we brought in as an urgent item, and it seemed very sensible to do that with the timing of this. So it is East Northamptonshire Greenway Phase 4, and I call upon Mike Greenway to present this paper, please. Earlier than expected, Mike.
Thanks, Chairman, and thanks for taking this as an urgent item. The report in front of members this evening is seeking to bring to the attention of North Northamptonshire Council the work that we've done on the Greenway, the East Northamptonshire Greenway. Who knows, it might be called the North Northamptonshire Greenway one day, but really recognising it as a vital asset for encouraging healthier lifestyles, and also there's quite a bit of a way to go yet in its development programme. What we do want to do as well with this is to make North Northamptonshire Council aware that there is some surplus funding available to implement some preparatory works and some investigations on what we call Phase 4 of the Greenway, and there's an indicative map at Appendix 1 with the report which shows that. I would point out to members that is an indicative map. It doesn't show in any way the proposed routes or anything like that. It's just a means of showing where this location of this particular phase is. So over the years, you and your member colleagues have seen a number of different reports on the Greenway, because the network is constantly evolving, and it will be realised over the next 10 to 15 years, or may even be beyond that. So much of the network uses the existing rights of way. These designated routes are being updated, upgraded, which makes it a lot easier with access and future maintenance requirements. So you'll be familiar with the Greenway Forward Plan that sets out all the individual phases stage by stage. And quite a bit of the work that we do is funded from Section 106 monies, but we also draw in a number of other capital schemes, and we also have benefited from funding from a number of different other funding sources as time's gone on. So Phase 4 is the Rushton to Wellingborough route, and it's significantly important between the two towns. It'll link together a number of different important sites like Rushton Lakes Retail Park, Wellingborough Railway Station and Chester Farm Estate. So once it's developed, it will help us recognise the overall vision of the Greenway of linking Wellingborough and Peterborough railway stations. Now, this is not an easy phase. It's quite a complex phase, and it involves quite a bit of land. They're all in different multiple tenure, quite a lot of landowners involved in this. So there's quite a lot of negotiation that's needed to bring it to fruition. But initially, what we're trying to concentrate on here is a range of works which will help us get this project moving forward. And within that, there's repairs to the Victorian Bridge, archaeological studies, assessments and things, and a detailed design studies. This is all on land that's separate to the Chester Farm Estate, because the Chester Farm Estate's got quite a comprehensive programme of development with capital funding for that. But these works are for taking place on land adjacent to the Chester Farm Estate. And there's various things that need to go with that. So we're working in partnership with Natural England, Historic England and a number of other organisations to try and get this project up and running. So moving forward, Chairman, we've got this underspend that's been in the CFF projects, the Community Projects Reserve. This would be a good way of funding those works that we've mentioned there at 2.2. Also, just to bear in mind is that these works are going to take place after the 1st of April, so we can't, as a sovereign council, instigate those. So that's got to be down to the North Northants Council to make that happen. So I've set out quality impact implications, privacy implications, and there's some important things around health impact assessments as well, and risks, and the resource and implications are set out at 9. The recommendations at 13, Chairman, are set out there, and I'll be happy to answer any members' questions as they arise. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. I've got, because it comes up CH, but it's Councillor Harrison. Excuse me. So, Councillor Harrison, please.
Thank you, Chair. I think Councillor David Brackenbury actually asked to speak before I did, but so if David, look, okay, thanks, David. I'm very, very supportive of this scheme and would very much like to see it go forward into the new Northamptonshire unitary. Obviously, this has been a long time in the planning. There's been lots of phases. There's an awful lot of work that's gone on behind the scenes. And I just wonder really, Mike, what your view is of how much institutional memory is going to transfer into the new Northamptonshire unitary with regards to this plan, and how easy you think it will be for it to be picked up and continued with once the transition changes from on the 1st of April. Thanks.
Shall I pick that one up, Chairman, at this point?
Yes, please, Mike. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Councillor Harrison. There's always the risk that you lose the memory card, if you like, of when you're developing a project like this and when it moves from one authority to the next. We've made sure that everything that we do on the Greenway is captured. We've made sure that everything that we've got planned in the forward plan is raised in the appropriate way with the work that we're doing on Future Northants. We don't know at the moment where it might sit within the new Northamptonshire Council, but we have been making sure that all the information that we've been asked for to present to the new council has been presented in the appropriate way and the appropriate time. It has attracted interest from a number of different people working on the new council, so we know that it started to get recognition. And also what Lucy and my team's been doing as well is liaising with their Northamptonshire colleagues to try and encourage them really to look at the Greenway as a key route, because it could easily be extended throughout Northamptonshire. It doesn't have to be exclusive to East Northamptonshire, because it does make use of bridleways and rights of way. We'd like to obviously claim credit for all of that because we instigated it in East Northamptonshire, but I think what it will do is it will provide a legacy going forward, and we will be able to build on that. So hopefully taking that forward, we've got all the knowledge we need at the moment, but we know where to call on people to get that previous knowledge that where they've been involved too. Thanks, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor David Brackenbury, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Councillor Harrison, for offering to give way on that. Yeah, I mean, the Greenway is such a remarkable project, and it's covers the whole of East Northamptonshire and right down into Wellingborough as well, and it really underlines so much of what we're trying to achieve in Northamptonshire. You know, it's very good for all the green infrastructure and for exercise and health and all of the access to open countryside that we all seek. So it's very much to be encouraged, and I very much welcome this paper. It of course goes far beyond. We're discussing phase 4, but of course it goes far beyond. It really does. We really do want to have it to link from Wellingborough all the way up to Peterborough, and I know there are still some demarcation issues further north, but it's worth pointing out that further beyond the end of this phase 4 that we're discussing, past Rushton Lakes, there is a very good track going all the way up pretty much to Thrapston and Islip. So a lot of this is in place. A lot of hard work's been done. I completely agree with Councillor Harrison about making sure that the new Northamptonshire Authority picks this ball up and runs with it. And in concluding, Chairman, I'd just like to pass my appreciation and thanks on to everybody who's been involved in the Greenway, and of course, not least, Councillor Sarah Peacock. So thanks very much, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Councillor Brackenby. I've got Councillor Tony Boto, please.
No, I think Councillor Greenwood-Smith was mistaken. I didn't ask to speak.
All right. Does anyone else wish to speak on this subject?
Well, I am on the list, Chairman, but
well, I don't quite know where it's coming up actually.
It should be on your chat, Chairman, on the meeting hide conversation, I think it's called, Chairman.
Right. Oh yes, I have it now. Yes, right. Okie dokie. So, Councillor Stephen North, please.
thank you, Chair. I just would wholeheartedly support this, as you would all expect, and obviously follow on from other comments. Fully appreciate what Councillor Brackenbury just said, that obviously there is the opportunity, and that would be fantastic to be able to go all the way from Wellingborough to Peterborough, and so much has now been completed through the 106 agreements and the CFF funding in the last 10 years or so. And so it would be really, really great if we can get all those links in through Wellingborough, around the back of the embankment, include Chester Farm, obviously Rushton Lakes, walking through Rushton, and then to Stanley Lakes and so forth. So this is a real opportunity. And picking up on Councillor Harrison's point, this agenda item didn't happen by chance, Chair, and you know, it's part of the issue is that concern that it could get lost in the great big unitary council, and you know, quite rightly at the moment, obviously things were grouped in relation to the capital programme and the development pool for the new authority, just because they would be by the time things are bedding down, but there was nothing specific to the Greenway, because I did check through it and not that I was necessarily expecting anything. But I think the actual point to this paper is actually to recommend to North Northamptonshire Council just how important the Greenway is to East Northants and North Northamptonshire, and especially in relation to where we're at now in relation to certainly 3.1. And so I had a meeting today around health and well-being, and just how much importance there's going to be in relation to how we come out of this this dreadful pandemic of people's mental health, and how much walking and exercise and well-being, and how much this can actually improve on that going forward. And I think it'd be just too much of a great loss to leave it as it is now. So I sort of very much support all the recommendations with this, Chair, and hopefully North Northamptonshire Council will take it forward, and those involved will take it forward as well. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Councillor North. Yes, I can see now the speakers coming up. I think on Zoom, when you go into conversation, doesn't it show what that people are actually saying? Anyway, we move on now. Councillor Peacock, please.
I don't think I've got my hands up. I think Councillor Mercer.
Yeah, Councillor Mercer.
Councillor Mercer. I was just thanking David for his comments.
I'm sorry, yes, you're making replies. Yes, it's.
I might like to come in at the end if I'm allowed to.
Councillor Greenwood-Smith, he set the funny one off as well with Councillor Boto. So Councillor Mercer, please. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I'm interested in wondering about the governance arrangements of the Greenway process after the new councillors come into place. First of all, we'll have the period after vesting day between that and the elections, but then subsequent to that, after the elections, when a new council is elected. So during those two periods, who will effectively be the people in charge of making decisions concerning the Greenway?
Are you able to answer that, Mike?
At the moment, I think that does remain a bit of an area for development, and I'm grateful for Councillor Mercer to raise that point. I think that is something that we do need to progress with that, and see where it sits with the new authority, and also who will be involved with that at the right level. So that's one we need to take away and work on, I think, Chairman.
I presume North Northants will actually own the Greenway at the end of the day. So,
in terms of ownership, Chairman, I think it'll own the rights of way by default it'll assume that from Northamptonshire County Council, but it will take the Greenway as a project, which is being transferred over as part of Future Northants into the new authority. So it will be responsible for it, I would say. Thank you.
Chairman, can I come back on that?
Yes, please.
There is a patchwork of rights of way and of bridleways and so forth that make up the Greenway. The land ownership is in a whole variety of different bodies. There is an overarching plan that links different sections together so that people can actually go through them, but it's not clear where it will all end up afterwards. In theory, the North Northamptonshire Unitary Authority will be the designated inheritor authority of any rights and easements that are owned by East Northamptonshire Council, but many of the rights are not ones that are owned by any particular council. They are just public rights of way of different sorts, and it's not clear. That's why it's complicated about what happens afterwards, because it's such a mixture.
Right, thank you. So I think the only thing we can really do tonight, there seems to be good support for this proposal. And if we move on now, if there are no more questions, I don't think I have any questions, the odd comment here, then if we move on to 13, we have 3 recommendations there which are to be made to North Northamptonshire Council. So I'd like to take those 3 en bloc. Do I have a proposer that we forward these 3 recommendations to North Northants Council?
Chair, if sorry, not a point of order, but if you recall, Sarah Peacock, as our rep on the board, did want to do some closing comments. Sorry, it's not a point of order, but just in case just for your recollection.
No, I would. Sorry, is that okay, Chairman?
Yes, it's just yes. I mean, it's just.
Sorry, I would just like to thank everybody, you know, staff and members for their support over the years. It's been a 10-year project and one that is still got so much to offer. And as Steve says, with the health and well-being being top of the agenda, I think COVID has proved to us the value of these greenways, and it's got everybody out. People who you probably wouldn't have thought would be out walking, they are all using them. So I think this is something we've worked very hard to bring in members, not only from the councils but the waterways. We work with the Blueways, Nenscape, the National River Nen Regional Park, get it out in a minute, get it in the right order. You know, there's lots of people who've been involved, and we bring people in as we need them, as we get to their area of the country. And you know, Wellingborough, we've been working Wellingborough now for a couple of years to get us to the embankment to their project and to enhance Stanton Cross, because it all links into Stanton Cross, which in turn can lead up the Eyes Valley. So there's lots of plans. We've got loads of plans that it can be developed, and even going into Northampton through Ellsbarton and various other ways. Northampton are doing their greenway, so it's never ending how this can finish. And I just think we need to make sure that this is a project that definitely doesn't stop, and that we're able to follow this through, but with some caveat that people that have been involved from the beginning can in some shape or form can stay on the board or the whatever trust or whatever it turns out to be moving forward, to keep that continuity until the new people can pick up and run with it, because I think that's most value, because a lot of us have got probably knowledge that's not always written down, and that was the only thing I would say moving forward, Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I've now got the Vice Chairman who'd like to make a quick comment. So if Councillor Greenwood-Smith would like to make a final comment before we move on to the recommendations, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I know Councillor Peacock mentions RNRP. I will be delighted to continue to support the Greenway from my position as the Director of RNRP. I obviously resigned at the last meeting because I was there as ENC's representative, and without ENC there is no representation. I have been asked to remain on the board in a private capacity. I've been delighted to do so. I was honoured to be asked, and it gives me great pleasure to assure Councillor Peacock that I shall be batting for her side from within.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. So coming back now to the 3 recommendations to be made to North Northamptonshire Council. Do I have a proposer for those recommendations, please? Councillor Jenny, and a seconder?
Happy to, yeah.
Councillor North, thank you. Any amendments to those proposals? No, okay, in that case, all those in favour, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Is anyone against? Okay, that is carried. Thank you very much, Mike, and I hope you get that bit sorted because it's a very interesting link. So, Louise, where are we now with Charlotte?
We've not. She's still not in the meeting, and we've not been able to contact her outside. So,
Not
at the
by
moment,
phone. You can't get a hold.
No, and we've tried by email as well. There's no contact with her.
Okay.
Chair, I suggest I present this, if that's okay with everybody.
Are you happy with that? Yes, that's
well,
fine.
nobody else is around to present it, so I guess by default it's going to have to be me, isn't it?
Well,
I signed the thing, so I have at least read it, but
I did have a little while on the phone with Charlotte, so but I'm quite happy for you to take it, David. Thank you very much.
I bet you are, Chair. Yes. Okay. I shall have a go at taking members through it.
We can go back to item 6 now. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a rather unusual report, this, because obviously the council ceases to exist in just over a fortnight. So it's rather unusual to have a couple of new policies being presented that obviously aren't really going to be live for very long. So I'll just take members through the history of how we've got to where we are to start with. It sets out in the background section that periodically our compliance with various legislation in this area is reviewed by the Investigatory Powers Commissioner's Office. And that most recently we had a desktop review which took place in September, which resulted in a set of recommendations. And I'll be honest, there were some protestations from us along the lines of, well, hang on, the council's only here till the 31st of March, at which point it will be absorbed into a bigger organisation, and it will be for that organisation to have a consistent policy that covers the whole area. But they felt that we needed to sort of get our house in order, so to speak. So that's the piece of work that's been done since then, that's resulted in this report and the attached revised policies. So we've also had some changes in terms of who's had the corporate ownership of this, which is why it's taken some time to get it sorted out. So the monitoring officer previously, so Sean Matthews, who I'm sure all members will remember, used to be the SRO, Senior Responsible Officer. That's moved around a bit since, and it now lies with Charlotte Tompkins, who led the production of this report and the revised policies. So the responsibilities of the SRO are set out in section 1.1. I won't go through those in detail. But in looking at our RIPA policy, it's been clear that we needed to amend the social media policy as well, because the two tend to be fairly strongly linked in many areas. So the key changes to the RIPA policy that have been made are set out in section 3.2. Again, I won't go through those in detail, but as you can see, it's a fairly comprehensive set of changes. And the result of all that work is the policies that are set out in the appendices. I'm not going to go through those policies in detail. And what I would suggest is that, given the timing, obviously there won't be another meeting of this committee prior to the 31st of March. So I think what I would ask members to do is to approve the two new policies as set out in the recommendations. And if members have any comments or suggested changes that they think need to be made to those policies, I suggest we just record those, because, as I mentioned earlier, North Northamptonshire Council will be adopting its own policy, which will be some combination of the existing policies at some point after the 1st of April. So I think it would be useful if we had a record of any comments that members might have, so they can be taken into consideration along with the policies when North Northamptonshire Council comes to review that. So that's my sort of suggestion. I'm happy to take any questions if I possibly can. Any matters of detail, I think I can probably predict that I'm going to have to leave somebody else to pick up at a later stage, but happy to hear any comments that members might have.
I think that was a very good summary, as Charlotte gave. Sorry, I was muted. Thank you very much.
There aren't any questions in the chat yet, Chair. So
I've got Councillor Mercer and then Councillor Bode.
I think that in this situation, the principle of proportionality comes into play. It is disproportionate to spend a lot of time on something that's going to only be in practice for a couple of weeks. Not a reasonable use of officer or member time, to be honest. There is zero likelihood that it'll ever actually be quoted in any case. There is no chance whatsoever that it's ever going to be used to determine any decision making. Therefore, it's disproportionate to spend lots of time on it. I think Mr. Oliver is absolutely correct in his approach to it. We will be starting again from scratch when there is a new council. Some of us will be there, hopefully, some of us won't. And I think the correct time to consider it is when the new council is formed and when a draft policy is produced there. I think perhaps it would be best to start again from scratch, to be honest, when we get there, because there's been such changes in social media in particular within the last 12 months, let alone in the last 12 years, that I think that it might be worth thinking again from scratch, right from first principles. And I suspect that will be what the new council will want to do. I'm happy to propose this document as it stands because the changes are quite reasonable, but I don't think it's worthwhile making esoteric minor changes or debates about some of the principles because it won't ever be used.
Yes, thank you very much. I think Charlotte was of the opinion that they were rather put into a corner and had to do it, albeit with this very short timescale before the council went. So I'll call on Councillor Tony Boto, please, who wishes to speak.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just to point out for good order, when it goes to the new council, under point 1.3 in this paper, IBCO is going to write to the Chief Executive in October of this year. There's a wrong year in that first line of that. It says 27 October 2021.
Yeah, correct.
So it should be changed to 2020.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, I have no one else down to speak. If you look, the Appendix A is in actual fact for information. It's Appendix B and C that, Appendix C that we have to do, and Appendix D. So if you move to the recommendations in 13, which is recommended to approve the Council's revised RIPA policy and procedures as set out in Appendix C in this report, and the committee is recommended to approve the revised social media policy as set out in Appendix D into this report. So do I have a proposer for that, please?
Yes, Chairman.
Councillor Mercer, yes. A seconder? Yeah, Councillor Greenwood-Smith, thank you. Any amendments to those proposals? No. All those in favour then, please show.
Aye.
Thank you very much. So that passes those recommendations, and that concludes the main business of the last meeting of Policy and Resources Committee. However, I would like to say a few extra words this time. Firstly, I would like to thank you for basically putting up with me sitting up here in this chair. It would have been sitting up here in this chair, but unfortunately this is virtual, and so it's not quite the same. It's been a privilege to have served in this position for what has actually been 10 years. And I can't say that I had more hair when we started and consequently blame you for any loss of hair. I'd like to thank all of the committee members, both past and present, plus the many officers who have presented papers and given us backup over the years for the significant contributions made to the development of what I believe has been a successful East Northants Council. Maybe a minor extra thanks to our Chief Executive David for the guidance and many nudges I received in my early years, but also to Leader Councillor North and my ever-present Deputy Councillor Greenwood-Smith for their constant support. Mentioned before, it's been a privilege and a pleasure to have served on this committee and worked with you. I hope that the qualities of policies, financial controls and discussions that we've been party to over the years will, where possible, be carried forward and be effective in the new North Northants Council. Finally, at this parting of the ways, whether you're going on to retirement or as a new NNC officer or a new NNC councillor all fields are new. I wish success to you all in the future. As I've said many times before, please have a safe journey home. I now declare the meeting closed. Good night and farewell.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see some of you again in a few years' time. Or a few
Yeah.
See you on the
Hope
other
not
side.
disappear. Thanks very much.
Bye,
Thanks,
thank
David.
you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
David. It's been an
Bye,
honour
all.
to sit next to you, mate. Thanks very much.
Yeah, we miss being up on that top bit though, don't we, Glenn?